Welcome to the Football Show here on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, absolutely delighted that you could join us in the studio as my guests on this Tuesday evening. Alan Ruff and Barry Ferguson back here with us for a new season. Lots to talk about, guys. Of course, Barry, you won't be privy to the fact that you're now sitting next to a director, and of course, Ruffy, you won't be privy to the fact that you're now sitting next to an international coach, no less.
Yeah, fair dues. You know, I think he's identified that you need as many certificates as possible on the coaching side, and it's good. You know, and we've said it on numerous occasions, not just talking him up, but for somebody like Barry to be out of the game and now being in there to offer young kids coming through is a tragedy. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, you're a director, you could do something about it. Trying my best for you. Anyway, delighted that you guys are here with us on the show. Lots to talk about. Of course, European football will dominate our thoughts, and of course, players in and out, and potentially in and out as well at clubs. First and foremost, Celtic flew out this afternoon to Trondheim, Ruffy, trying to defend the 3-1 advantage they have from the first leg. I think the second leg is interesting because Rosenborg will have to take chances.
They certainly will. There was nothing in the first leg that convinced me that they were good enough to score 2 or 3 goals. I think they will make it difficult, obviously, as all the European sides do in the first 10-15 minutes. But I think Celtic showed they're capable of scoring over there, and once they get the first goal, I think that'll be it, done and dusted.
Yeah, this is a side, Barry, that last season were more of a force. Not the Rosenborg of old that would be getting to the latter stages of the knockout stages of European football, but certainly this one, this season, it's an inferior side, and I thought Celtic dominated against them. And of course, they had the furore over Rini Coolen coming in as the temporary coach after they'd sacked their manager.
Yeah, but only managed to get the highlights when I was over in Canada. Look, for me, they had some decent players, but Celtic are a far superior team. I think they go over there, they keep them quiet the first 15-20 minutes. Celtic have got enough quality to go and get another couple of goals, so I don't see Celtic having any problems over there.
Yeah, I think as Hugh McDonald mentioned last night on the programme, Ruffy, you know, apart from anything else, the last thing they want, as Barry's just highlighted there, losing an early goal could lift Rosenborg. Again, we don't need to highlight year in, year out the amount of money that's at stake here, but you know, it's now heading up towards 30 million and beyond when you're involved in the group stages. So this hurdle and then AEK Athens awaits the winners.
Yeah, I think that would obviously be a tricky one away from home. I think we know going to these places it can be very volatile, and their supporters get right behind their teams. But even saying that, you know, Celtic continue to play the football that they're playing, you know, and obviously you would think they would beat Rosenborg, but I think it'll be a harder game, you know, the next one to come up, but I still think they've got the players there to get through that one as well.
Yeah, just on that point, you're talking about the players, Ruffy. Speculation today in the papers about Patrick Roberts' final year of his contract at Manchester City. There was talk of him going to other English clubs. He's got a good pedigree. I think he's had a good few years at Celtic. Maybe not as good in that final year because of injuries, but you know, he hasn't ruled out a possible Celtic return. It would be somebody like that would certainly excite the Celtic fans because signings have been thin in the ground.
No, that's what he does. You know, he's that kind of player, and the other side of it as well, he's actually upped James Forrest's game. You know, because when he come back the first time, everybody thought, well, he's a replacement for James Forrest, but James has come up with the goods. He had a good season last year. But you're right, even though he was to go back to Celtic and come on for the last 20-25 minutes, he's a player that the supporters want to see. He just excites you. He's got that much ability, and he's had the taste of European football as well. He'll want to be involved with the kind of nights that Celtic have had.
Yeah, and again, I mentioned there, Celtic haven't really started to spend yet. Everybody is well aware that Lewis Morgan injured but will be back. They know all about his potential from St Mirren. Barry, you've witnessed quite a bit of him last season. They've got Odsonne Edouard. Now you're looking possibly Daniel Arzani from Australia. But other than that, there's been no real wild speculation about big signings coming in.
I think it's always good to improve your squad, but I think Brendan Rodgers is only going to bring players in that are going to try and force the starting 11 out. Because if you look at Celtic, for me, they've got a real strong starting 11. Even at that, when you look at their bench, there's the guys that can come on and make a difference. I think they'll only go and spend, as I say, if it's somebody of real quality and somebody that's going to threaten to get in the starting 11.
Yeah, okay, give me your predictions then, guys, for this second leg in Trondheim.
I think Celtic, keep them quiet first 15 minutes of Celtic. I think Celtic can score at any stage, so I fancy them getting a couple of goals and 2-0 Celtic.
Yeah, I don't think 2-0. I think Celtic might concede. I'm still not convinced that the back four is the back four that Brendan Rodgers wants. So I still think they're a wee bit vulnerable, but I do think they'll probably win 2-1.
Okay, you can give us your view on it on our YouTube channel and facebook.com/PLZ Soccer, and of course on our Twitter as well. We've got regular daily updates, bulletins going out now to keep you up to date with what's happening in Scottish football and beyond every day on Facebook, Twitter and YouTube. And let's not forget, 6 o'clock Monday to Friday, we've got the football show for you, from Celtic to your old club Rangers. You were over there in Canada coaching. We're going to talk about that a little later in the programme, but what do you make of the early stages here of the Steven Gerrard reign? Because he's made some dramatic changes. He's almost emptied every player that you could think of that was signed by Kashinya and Murty.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, Peter. I thought when he took the job, I thought he needed guarantees to go in and change it, a massive overhaul, and he's certainly done that. He's done his business early, which I like. When he's talking, he means business for me. I'm not saying they're going to go in and win the league this year or go far in the Europa Cup, but certainly the team look more organised to me. You can see he spent a lot of time in the training ground. It's still early days. I think there's a lot of patience needed. I'm sure the Rangers fans will give him that because who he is and what he's done already. So I'm looking forward to, once they get into a groove, they get a couple of months into the season, and certainly hopefully they can mount a challenge to Celtic. But I like the early signs and I like the way he comes across in the media.
Yeah, I mean, talk is cheap, Ruffy, and I think a number of players will know that it won't impress Steven Gerrard off the park. It's what they do on the park. James Tavernier, obviously with most of the captains assembling at Hampden Park yesterday, getting behind the main sponsor Ladbrokes ahead of the kick-off of the new season at the weekend, as mentioned, they have to mount a serious title challenge. Are they at that stage, or are they jumping the gun again this season?
Well, I think when Barry's better, to say this than me, when you play with a team like Rangers or Celtic, the fans demand success. No, they want to be first. Second and third isn't any good, so you've got to set your targets high. And I don't have a problem with somebody for Rangers saying, yeah, we've got a chance to win the league this year, because that's what you've got to do. But as you say, you've got to come up with the goods. You've got to produce it on the park. It's okay talking about it, but certainly from what we're looking at, it is a better side. The gap was closed dramatically last year. Okay, Celtic took their eye off with the European ones, but if you're a Celtic player, or a Rangers player or a Rangers supporter, you're going to say, right, we are a better side, a much better side on paper than what we were last year. Now they have to prove it, and the results that they've got just now, you wouldn't say, I don't think they'll beat Celtic, but I think they will give a better show this season. Yeah,
the one thing he will have, and it's been evident watching him, is that he's got Rangers better organised. He'll obviously want them to move the ball quicker. The one element of it, and I've watched some of the European games, is when some of the players, I mentioned this last night, guys, and obviously you'll be well aware of it, moving from being a player to being a manager yourself. Yep. Mm-hmm. When you actually see a player who's just not at the level you've played with, and they miss chances, and the short with their passes, their touch is poor, that's, I think, an adjustment that he's getting used to in the early stages. Yep. Windass missed a couple of sitters in one of the games, and I think he just almost shook his head as if to say, Well,
the good thing for me, Peter, I understand, I had similar to Clyde, but he's got Gary McAllister there that's been a manager, and I'm sure Gary Mac will be telling him in the background, look, you were one of the best midfielders ever to play football. Yep. So there ain't going to be no Steven Gerrard. But one thing I will say about them, and I mentioned it just before you mentioned it, they look to me a well organised and a well drilled team. There's obviously been a lot of hard work going on in the training ground, and if you look at his signings, he's seen he needs to get through the spine of the team. Yeah. He signed Alan McGregor, the two centre backs. Arfield, I know he's been injured, but I think he'll be a good player for Rangers. and obviously the news that he's been in for another couple of strikers, which I think is important because we need competition for places in at Rangers, and certainly I think that's what he's trying to get. And another thing I like about him, he's put demands on the players. If you're not going to play well on a Saturday or a Thursday, you ain't going to play the next game.
Yeah.
So people are fighting for their places, and that's what I like about him.
I also like the line where he said, do your job from the start of the game rather than me having to give you a rollicking at half time, which gives you an indication into the real mental strength of him. Yeah, but that will be a frustrating thing for him. Again, I never seen the Wigan game. I know after half time they came out and they were a different team. That must be a frustrating side of him. Like he's having to wait to half time to get about them. Yeah. But listen, the reaction they got, I know it was only a friendly game, but at least they got a reaction for their players to go out and sort it out in the second half, which I felt they never got with a Graham Murty or a Pedro Caixinha. They'll get that for Steven Gerrard, because for me he comes across as, you don't play with a desire, anything about you, you aren't going to play the next game. Yeah, the one thing that I think he could do without Ruffy, and I think this will be key to his managerial reign at Ibrox, is any off-the-field nonsense that managers have had to deal with. I mean, you only have to look back to yesterday, and obviously the news emerging of the Sports Direct deal. Rangers could be facing a bill of around £500,000 for legal expenses. Plus, in the end, they're faced with Mike Ashley, Sports Direct get a deal to sell the strips. Now, fans are talking about a boycott again. All these things off the field. I think Rangers fans would more than most would just like to concentrate on looking and thinking, okay, let's concentrate on the football and taking the club forward on the field.
Yeah, I think that's why early on I think they need to be successful, because we all know that if he's winning games, we're not going to be talking about what's happening off the park. It's when a couple of bad results happen, then obviously the media pick up and everything else that's happened around about. But it was a surprise to me, because, and I'm sure a surprise to the Rangers supporters, because at the beginning of the season Dave King came out and said the deal had been sorted. And we have got a fantastic package, and the supporters came in, and then all of a sudden it crops up again that it isn't a done deal, So no, I think the supporters want to be concentrating on the football on the park.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, I've got to ask you this before we finish on Rangers. They're 1-0 up against Osijek. You wouldn't imagine any slip-ups at home. This should be a night where Rangers fans go there in great numbers, maybe see a few more goals.
Yep, I think they'll go through, Peter. I'm not just saying that because obviously Rangers is a team close to my heart, but I think they'll have enough. As I said, I think it's a different team. I'm not getting overexcited. I just think there's a lot of patience needed, as I said before. But the most important thing is, for me, I don't think they're playing great, but they're winning games, and that's the most important. I know it's not against top teams, but you just need to see what happened at the start of last season, how bad it was going out of Europe early. I think they'll go through this tie and go into the next round. Yeah, don't worry and don't get upset if you have to actually tip a team that's close to your heart. Ruffy's been doing it for 5 years in this show. I mean, I don't think he's tipped Partick Thistle to lose a game. I might get a job soon if I keep doing that. He got one, didn't he? Exactly. To be fair, by the way, I think it would be almost unbearable, Ruffy, to have 3 midfielders on the coaching staff, one better than the other at Rangers, Ruffy.
Yeah, you're right. And I've said at the beginning of the show, I'd like to see him back in the game. I'm sure we all would, but he's doing a good job here.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to see him back. I don't want him to get a job. Just stay here with us.
Do you know what? I'm happy at my workplace.
Yeah, you look at a couple of things. We talked about the game. Obviously, I agree with you. I think Rangers will go through. I think they've got more than enough in the tank there. Obviously, Steven Gerrard mentioned he wanted to maybe bring in 1 or 2 new faces before the Aberdeen game at the weekend. With that in mind, were you surprised coming back to hear the Kyle Lafferty bid of 200,000? Hearts obviously have rejected it. Yep. Well, I can only go by, I've played with a guy, and when he came up, he was a bit raw when he came up. From Burnley, Rangers, I think it was £3.5 million we spent, but I was always impressed with him, Peter. I've got to be honest with you, I've always liked him as a player. I know he's left Rangers and he's had a few moves, he's never really settled. He came up to Hearts last year and he scored a number of goals, and for me he was Hearts' best player along with Christophe Berra. So
I'm not surprised at that kind of price. I would take him. I would take him. Whether it's, I know it's
300, 400,000.
Yeah, but if he's going for that price, I think it's. I know he splits opinion with the Rangers fans, but I can only go with. I've worked closely with him on the training ground. I know what type of character he is. He's obviously grown up a Rangers fan. One thing, I wouldn't say surprised me, but one thing I noticed about him was his work ethic. After it, he would go away and spend an extra 15, 20 minutes doing shooting drills or whatever. So he wanted to work at his game. That's one thing about him. So I think Rangers, it's a wise move at that kind of price. The money that's getting bandied about that Hearts want, a million and a half, I'm not too sure. But if you're going to get him for 300-400 grand, I would go and take him.
Well, he's held talks with obviously Anne Budge and Craig Levein. They'll know exactly, where his heart possibly lies on this. When he hasn't put in a transfer request, if they don't come back, Rangers, then he stays at Hearts, and a Hearts side that, as I mentioned on last night's programme, Ruffy, I've been impressed with him.
Yeah, but again, once a team like Rangers comes in for you, all of a sudden you've got an unsettled player, because the player definitely would want to go to Rangers. So then Hearts have got to deal with the aftermath of it. And if he's a sensible enough guy and a good professional, he will probably knuckle down. But I would think it would take him maybe a month to get over that. The thought of actually going back to Rangers, obviously the wages would be better, bigger club, in Europe, and then you've got to get your head round. It's the same with John McGinn at Hibs. If that doesn't happen at Celtic, that boy will be sitting day and night going, is this going to go through, is this not going to go through? And then if it doesn't go through, obviously he can go next year, but he's still got to get his head round it, and Neil Lennon's got to work overtime on him.
One thing I will say, it must be hard for Kyle Lafferty, what he's went through with the gambling, and to be fair to Hearts, stuck by him and helped him a lot. So I think it'll be a hard one for Kyle. Obviously, as I said before, he is a Rangers supporter, but Hearts you can't forget that Hearts did stand by him and give him advice and help him out. And obviously, he looked to me last year, if he was back enjoying his football, and that's what you want to see. For guys, certainly, I always follow guys that have played with careers in the past, and he's not really went and settled after Rangers, and he came up here last year, and I thought he looked a player last year. Yeah. And I think it'd be a good move for Rangers.
Okay, just one other player that I know that you've watched closely when he was at Rangers, Barry Mackay's moved from Nottingham Forest to Swansea on a 3-year deal. So clearly he's certainly caught the eye of more than a few people with his performances for Notts Forest. Yeah,
I think he'd done well. Originally went down, and obviously Warburton getting the sack, and the new manager coming in, I don't think it was in his plans. But for me, he's an exciting talent. He just needs to go somewhere and play regular. But we were talking about it off camera. I think Swansea's a great move for him.
Yeah.
Been in the Premier League for a number of years. I know they get relegated, but they've got potential to get straight back up. So, what a move for him.
Okay, a couple of clubs, got to get your thoughts on, lads. Obviously, we're hoping that Scottish clubs will do well this week. We've certainly not jumped into the hysteria over the first leg of any of the ties. You've both tipped Rangers and Celtic to go through. The second two teams involved in European football. Interesting to get your thoughts on it, Barry, because on Thursday, Turfmoor, it'll be bouncing, almost a sellout. In fact, I'm almost certain it is going to be a sellout. Burnley against Aberdeen. It's 1-1 at the moment.
Yep, by ball accounts, again, only seen the highlights. Aberdeen done really well. I like to shut the English up because they're quickly down in our game. And obviously I'm looking at Aberdeen a lot more closely because my young nephew's up there now, Lewis, and he played in the game. It'll be a difficult one, but listen, you never know. I would like to see Aberdeen go through, I would, because it's good for the Scottish game. So I think they could maybe take them into extra time and hopefully get it and get through. But it'll be a hard one for them because they are a Premier League club.
Yeah, I think it would be a great result if they could, because of, there is this gulf again with the spending power. Burnley can far outspend Aberdeen, to be honest with you, Ruffy. But on the park, it was fairly even. I thought there was a bit of poor defending that allowed Burnley the chance to get the equaliser. But you just never know if they can keep it tight and maybe nick something down there. I have my doubts.
Yeah, well, I think this is a massive one for Aberdeen. You know, they've got to get down there and now show that Derek can organise them to be professional enough to maybe hit them in the break or whatever. Because, I mean, Burley's not the biggest side down in England, so you've got to fancy to maybe on the night, you know, if you get rub of the green, you might be able to do, as Barry said, just nick it.
Yeah, and on the other one, again, we're talking about poor defending. Poor defending, you know, from the standard of players that have been available, let's not beat about the bush, to a number of clubs out with Celtic in the Europa League over the last decade. Those mistakes have cost them heavily. I'm talking about now Hibs 2-0 down against Asterisk and have to somehow fight their way back into it. Goalkeeping blunders really put them on the back foot.
That goes back to I watched the game in the Faroe Islands and I couldn't believe some of the defending for the Hibs team, and obviously Lenny made the comment, lucky that he wouldn't get in there at half time, because I can imagine what he would have done. And then again, last Thursday, some of the defending, obviously the goalkeeping mistake, but I still think Hibs have got enough quality to go there and win the game. And again, I'm one of the ones where I want all the teams to do a lot better than I have done previously, because the ball went out too early. So I hope Hibs can go there and sort out defensively. I'm sure that's one thing that Lenny's been doing since that game, is try to sort out the defence. And if it goes there, again, they'll be compact and hard to beat. They've got enough quality to go through.
You tipping them to win?
I think they will, yes.
I'll tell you one thing, Ruffy, you and I need to get out to Ontario in Canada, because he's optimistic. He's come back off holiday and he's super optimistic about all the Scottish clubs.
Well, I hope he's right. You know, I think we really need it for the coefficient. We need, you know, to have more teams in after Christmas, and it'd be fantastic. You know, then we could start talking up our game rather than people talking it down.
Well, let's see if you're optimistic then. For the looks of things, he's gone for 4 sides to go through. Give me yours.
I'm going to go for 3.
3.
I don't think
Who's going out?
Aberdeen are going to go out for me. I think it'll be tight, but I think they had their chance at Aberdeen and never took it, so I think they've missed their chance.
Okay, just one final thing. Coaching. We've talked about your qualities as a coach. You were out in Canada. Did you enjoy it?
Loved it. I've been asked to go out to Canada and America, but I've just not had the time the past year. We're obviously working on the show we used to, guys. You wouldn't let me go. So over the summer holidays I get the opportunity to go over to a place called Burlington just outside Toronto. I was coaching kids from 8-year-old through to 14, and I loved it. I just get the buzz back. Been on the training field from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock. It was great. The weather was superb, which helped, but just giving a bit of advice to the kids and a bit of coaching, I loved it.
And it is a beautiful place. Did you bring any photos back, were you?
No, I didn't. I was too busy on the training field. There's plenty of photos on their websites if you want to go and have a look.
And there's unfortunately no photographs between 5 and midnight when the coaching ended. The Canadian nightlife, Ruffy, is fantastic. I only have to look at your face right now. Have you been to Canada, Ruffy?
Yeah, I went with Partick Thistle to Toronto. It's a beautiful place. We went to Nova Scotia. Which was great.
Okay, fantastic. Enough said about that, because I leave you with the thought, what happens on tour stays on tour. Simple as that. Barry will be back with us tomorrow, because a little bit of jet lag, but he's performed well, Ruffy, in his first day back.
Amazing. Yeah, he was half asleep.
Yeah,
Now he's popped up.
He's absolutely buzzing. Great to have him back with us. Give us your opinion. Do you share Barry's optimistic view of 4 clubs through in European football from Scotland on Friday? We shall find out. Ruffy thinks maybe Aberdeen are the only followers. Give us your thoughts on that. From Ruffy, from Barry and myself, Peter. Thanks for watching.